Did you know that every time you start your car, you might be making a mistake that could cost you thousands in repairs? Most drivers don't even realize it, but one simple habit before starting your car can mean the difference between a smooth ride and a breakdown waiting to happen. Well, today, I'm breaking down the biggest mistakes people make before starting their cars. And trust me, if you're not doing these things, you're setting yourself up for some serious trouble. Let's dive into it. Number 1. Ignoring the check engine light before it's too late. A lot of people think, hey, it's just a little light, the car is running fine, I'll deal with it later. Big mistake. That little light is like your car screaming for help. Ignoring it could turn a small, cheap fix into a massive repair bill. Here's the deal. Sometimes it's something as simple as a loose gas cap. Yes, a loose cap can trigger the check engine light, but other times it could mean something way worse, like a failing oxygen sensor, a bad catalytic converter, or even an engine misfire that could wreck your car if left unchecked. And guess what? If your check engine light is flashing, you should not even be driving because that means there's an active misfire that can destroy your engine. So before you even start your car, take 5 seconds to check that light. If it's on, don't ignore it. Get a cheap OBD2 scanner. They cost like $20 on Amazon. Plug it in and see what's wrong. A mechanic will charge you just to check the code, but you can do it yourself for free. Moreover, if it's something small, you can fix it yourself and save hundreds. Number 2. Not letting the fuel pump prime before cranking the engine. Ever turn the key and your car hesitates before starting? Or worse, it cranks forever and struggles to turn over. That's because you're not letting your fuel pump prime before cranking the engine, and if you're doing this every day, you're killing your fuel system without even realizing. Here's the problem. Modern cars rely on an electric fuel pump to build up pressure and send fuel to the engine. But when you turn the key straight to start without waiting, the pump doesn't have enough time to pressurize the system properly. This means your car has to work harder to fire up, and over time, this stresses your fuel pump, injectors, and even your battery. The fix? Super simple. The next time you get in your car, turn the key to the on position and wait 3 to 5 seconds. You'll hear a faint buzzing sound that's your fuel pump priming the system. Once it stops, then start the car. Boom. Your engine gets the right fuel pressure instantly, starts smoother, and you avoid premature wear on expensive components. People ruin their fuel pumps without realizing it, and a new one. Easily $500 plus to replace. But if you're smart and take 3 extra seconds before starting your car, you'll keep your fuel system healthy for years. Number 3. Starting the car with the steering wheel locked. Ever get in your car, turn the key, and bam, the ignition won't budge? You twist harder, panic a little, and start thinking your car is broken. But here's the truth. You're probably just fighting against the steering wheel lock, and forcing the key could actually break your ignition system, which, by the way, is not cheap to fix. Here's what's happening. When you turn off your car and move the steering wheel, it locks as a security feature. If the wheel is turned too far to one side, it puts pressure on the ignition cylinder, making it impossible to turn the key. Most people don't realize this and end up yanking the key, or worse, calling a tow truck for a problem they could have fixed in 2 seconds. The fix? Super simple. The next time your key won't turn, don't force it. Instead, wiggle the steering wheel left and right while gently turning the key, and boom, your ignition unlocks, and your car starts like normal. No stress, no broken key, no expensive repair bill. Trust me, this tiny mistake has left thousands of people stranded, all because they didn't know this simple trick. Number 4. Using the wrong oil for your climate. Did you know using the wrong engine oil for your climate could be slowly destroying your engine every time you start your car? Most people just throw in whatever oil the shop recommends, but if you're not paying attention to the viscosity, you could be making a costly mistake, especially in extreme hot or cold weather. Here's why it matters. Engine oil thickens in the cold and thins out in extreme heat. If you live in a cold climate and use a thick oil like 10W40, your engine struggles to start because the oil is too thick to flow properly. This means more wear on your engine, slower lubrication, and a higher chance of cold start damage. On the other hand, if you're in a super hot climate and use something too thin, like 0W20, your oil might not provide enough protection when the engine heats up, causing faster wear and even oil burning. The fix? Check your owner's manual and use the right viscosity for your weather. Most cars list a range like 5W30 for normal climates, but 0W20 for extreme cold and 10W40 for high heat. If you're using the wrong one, your engine is suffering every single time you start it. Number 5. Revving the engine. Right after starting, thinking it helps. Warm up faster. Have you ever seen someone start their car and immediately slam the gas pedal, thinking it's helping the engine warm up faster? If that's you, stop it right now. Because what you're actually doing is damaging your engine every single time you start your car. Here's why. When you first start your car, the oil is still thick and hasn't fully circulated through the engine yet. Your pistons, camshaft, and other internal parts are running with minimal lubrication for those first few seconds. Revving the engine immediately puts unnecessary stress on dry components, causing faster wear and tear, which means your engine will wear out way sooner than it should. The right way to do it: start the car and let it idle for at least 30 to 60 seconds. This gives the oil time to properly circulate. Then, instead of hard revving, drive gently for the first few miles. Your car will warm up naturally without any damage. Number 6. Leaving the car in gear while starting. Manual cars only. If you drive a manual car and you're starting it while it's in gear, you're just asking for trouble, or worse, an embarrassing mistake. You might think, what's the big deal? Well, if your foot isn't firmly on the clutch and the car is in gear, the second you turn the key, your car can jerk forward, hit something, or even stall in the middle of the road. Here's why it happens. In manual cars, starting in gear engages the transmission. So instead of just turning over, the engine tries to move the car instantly. This can be a serious safety risk, especially if you're parked near a wall, another car, or worse, someone standing in front of you. The right way to do it? Before starting, always check that the car is in neutral and press the clutch all the way down. Some modern cars have a clutch safety switch, but older ones will lurch forward if you make this mistake. One slip up and you could end up damaging your car or someone else's. Trust me, I've seen people nearly crash their own car just by making this rookie mistake. Number 7. Ignoring the temperature gauge on startup. Most people just turn the key, shift into drive, and go. But what they don't know is that a quick glance at your temperature gauge could save you thousands. Here's why it matters. Your temperature gauge should always start at the cold mark C when you first start your car and gradually rise as the engine warms up. If it jumps straight to hot, that could mean a serious cooling system issue, like a stuck thermostat, low coolant, or even a blown head gasket. On the other hand, if it stays stuck at the bottom, your engine might not be warming up properly, which means bad fuel economy, rough running, and possible long-term engine damage. The fix? Before you even start driving, take 2 seconds to check your temperature gauge. If it spikes immediately, turn the engine off and check your coolant levels before overheating destroys your engine. If it stays low after driving for a while, you might have a failing thermostat that needs replacing. Number 8. Running the car with a weak battery instead of testing it. A weak battery doesn't just leave you stranded, it also puts extra stress on your alternator, which can lead to an even more expensive repair. Here's the problem. A battery that's barely holding a charge forces your starter and alternator to work overtime every time you crank the engine. If your car cranks slowly, your headlights dim when you start it, or your radio resets, your battery is already on its last legs. And if you ignore it, one cold morning or one extra accessory left on, and boom, you're stuck needing a jump start. The smart move? Test your battery before it fails. A simple multimeter check, 12.6 volts when off, 14 volts when running, or even a free battery test at most auto parts stores can tell you if it's time to replace it. And if your battery is over 3 to 5 years old, don't wait for it to die and replace it before it leaves you stranded. Number 9. Using windshield wipers on a dry or icy windshield. A lot of people do this without thinking, but trust me, it's one of the easiest ways to ruin your wipers and scratch up your windshield in the process. Here's why it's a bad idea. Wipers are designed to glide smoothly over a wet surface. If you turn them on when the windshield is dry, the rubber blades drag and wear out much faster, leaving ugly streaks when you actually need them in the rain. And if it's frozen, your wipers can tear apart, and the wiper motor can burn out trying to move stuck blades, which can cost hundreds to fix. The right way to do it. If your windshield is dry, spray wash your fluid first before using the wiper. If it's frozen, let the defroster run for a few minutes, or use a de-icer spray to loosen the ice before trying to wipe it away. And whatever you do, never pull on frozen wipers. You could rip the rubber right off. Number 10. Forgetting to check under the car for leaks or obstruction. Most people just hop in, turn the key, and go. But if something is leaking or blocking your car, you could be setting yourself up for disaster. Here's why it matters. A quick look under your car can catch problems before they turn into expensive repairs. See a puddle. If it's clear, it's probably just AC condensation. No big deal. But if it's oily, green, or reddish, you could have a serious oil, coolant, or transmission fluid leak that could cause major engine damage if ignored. And if you're in a cold climate, small coolant leaks can lead to a frozen engine block overnight. And it's not just leaks, you also need to check for obstructions. In the winter, cats or small animals often hide under warm engines, and starting your car could harm them. Plus, if you parked somewhere unfamiliar, you might not notice a plastic bag, debris, or even a misplaced tool under your vehicle, which could get stuck in your suspension or exhaust system as you drive. It takes less than 5 seconds, and it could save you from a major headache later.